Getting too old for this shit.
Definitely am. It's like I need a nap to wake up.
That's how it is. What is up, guys? This is Mark with the Mic, and this is the Game of Rage podcast by Cyclone Inc. I'm Mark with the Mic. I'm joined by Tenacious T.
Yes, the one and the only.
This is the all things retro and current video game podcast by Cyclone Inc. And today we have our system of choice that we're going to be talking about in depth is the N64.
Which I'm extremely excited for.
We have the outcomes of the challenge of the last cast. We have new challenges in the end of the cast. And we will talk about the games that influence us. So basically, we will be going through that. That'll be our 4 segments of the show, and that's pretty much what we're going to be going through. The way we like to start it off is pretty much going to the challenge mode.
Right into it. You know what I mean?
Challenge mode. So this challenge, seeing that I got Sonic Spinball.
You're an asshole, just so you know. Just throwing that out there.
So I gave him 3. You know what? It's funny. You know what? This is his choice. So I can't get blamed because you chose this game. I gave you 3.
Yeah, I know. I listened to the cast, bro. I know what I said. I know what I said in the cast, man.
I gave you 3 choices.
Obviously, guys, the tone of my voice is totally negative. All right. So the game that this guy over here gave me was Spider-Man and X-Men. So, you know, I forget the other 2 that you
was Sunset Riders and
yes, Sunset Riders and something else.
I forgot the other game.
But so I, not thinking clearly, because I was probably drunk when I picked it, thinking that it was going to be a fun, like, yeah, I can get through it kind of game. Ended up being, I can't get through shit. Nothing at all. See, now, the problem is with this game, alright, originally since I didn't own it, I bought it for Super Nintendo. So I popped it in my, my Super Nintendo console, and I just wasn't really digging the way it looked. So I went out and I bought it for Sega. So now I own 2 copies of the same game for 2 different consoles that I can't fucking beat. Alright? Which is poetic justice, if you ask me. But, so, now, don't get me wrong. I am capable of beating the game. The problem is with the game is if you lose, you know, like, you have to, you start over, yes, but there is no save component whatsoever. Me being an adult and having shit to do, I don't have 10 hours straight to finish this damn game. That's the problem. You stumped me, and I'm very, very upset that I took the first L of this challenge, and it literally is the second challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I literally have to sit there all day and play it. Like, there is no way of beating that any other way. It's a very capable game. You can beat it. It's not hard. It's just I started getting frustrated when I can't even beat, like, I go to the first one, and I spend 2 hours on Storm's missions, and I can't even get to the end, and I just want to throw the fucking remote against the TV. And you specifically said that to me.
Yeah.
On the last cast, that I would want to do that.
Yeah.
So
I did warn you, too. See?
But now it's hilarious how I own 2 copies for 2 different consoles of the same game that I can't beat.
So, usually after we record the Games Array podcast, I'll discuss a little bit of it on the It Gets Better I Swear with Mike. And I told him the game I gave you, and he was like, damn, that's fucked up. So knowing him saying, damn, that's fucked up, that means the game is fucked up game. I purposely picked this game because you gave me Sonic Spinball, and I was
but you were able to beat Sonic Spinball.
I was able to beat it though. That was the difference.
You set me up.
You I didn't know maybe you had skill and been able to finish it, but who knows?
It's not skill, it's patience. It's not skill, it's patience.
And no anger.
No anger, and I was playing it during a work week, so I wasn't drinking. Yeah. You know what I mean? Drinking would have made my life a little bit easier. I've even turned the game off, walked away like, fuck that game, I ain't never playing that shit again. And then 10 minutes later, turning it back on to do it all over again. Because I was like, no, I have to do this. I have to do this. I can't let him get me.
So you gave
and
me...
You got me.
You gave me everything I wanted off of this game, so I'm happy.
Yeah, man, fuck you.
The game I got was Paperboy. I did get it for the Sega Genesis because it was the better looking version of it, of a part 1, because I was trying to look for part 1. SNES only has part 2.
I mean, I wouldn't expect you to play it on Game Boy. You know what I mean?
I would have played it on Game Boy if it was a good copy, but I wanted like the best looking one to play. So I got it on the Sega Genesis. It was one of them Tegan games. So you remember the back in the day that the NES had like the black cartridge? It was one of those.
Okay.
So I got it.
Japanese writing on it?
Hmm?
Does it have Japanese writing on it?
No. It's American made. It's just that when Tegan made those cartridges, is the fact that they didn't want to pay the price to put games on the console, so they made their own cartridge that fit in the console, and you had to buy their shit in order, and they got profit off it, and they didn't have to give anything to Sega. They did the same thing with Nintendo. They made their own games. They made their own cartridge. That's why you see the Tegan games. They're like the black cartridge.
Yeah.
So you see like Pac-Man.
I mean, I haven't seen them in a while, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they did that because they didn't want to pay Nintendo to put the game on the system, and that's why they did it. Nintendo charged you to the production of the game. Anyway, so I got Paperboy. I enjoyed Paperboy. Like it brought back memories. I kind of wish, like honestly, if I could find the arcade where you actually have the handlebars and shit, and actually play it.
Don't they have the game for? I thought they had the game for like PlayStation.
They probably have a version of PlayStation. I don't have a PS1, so I don't have it. They probably have it in an arcade classic kind of bundle. I didn't know which one, so I didn't feel like looking for it. So I just bought it for Genesis. It was a fun game. It was very arcade. It was straight up arcade game. So basically, you get what you get. I did make it to the end credits. I did get the credits towards the game. I think it's after day 7. You get that's pretty much you ending the game. You have to do the components levels, and you go like that. You do 7 days a week, and then that's pretty much how you go. And if you die, you die, and then you have to restart day 1 again.
I only beat the game once, and I just remembered it being fun but frustrating. You know what I mean? Like the faster it goes and the obstacles. And
but
stuff like that.
That's every arcade game. It's every arcade game, and that's you more adjusting yourself into adapting to it than it just being what it is.
Not being fidgety and making stupid mistakes.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I highly enjoyed the game. It was a fun game. I'm actually glad I bought it because I had Jackie play it, and we actually played, try to beat each other's score and shit like that. So it gave me more enjoyment out of it. I did finish the game.
Yeah, man, it brought family together. You know what I mean?
I did finish the game. I did make it to the end credits. I got like a great score and shit like that. I got the mechanics of the game, and I was like, all right, I feel more comfortable with it, and I was able to. It took me a few rides. It took me a few days to do it. Probably played it for like 3 hours, probably an hour or two. For about 5 days straight, I played like an hour or two, and I finally like had one good run of it.
Yeah.
I think it was like one.
That's how it always is. Just like one good run.
I had one good run. Everything was going good for me, kind of things like that, and I went that way, and I was very happy with it. It was a fun game. So, to review it, I'll give the game a 4. It was fun.
4 out of 5.
Yeah, it was a fun game. Like
I mean, well, you did it for Sega, so I don't recall the Sega version of it. I only recall the NES version of it. But I agree. I think overall, for the time and for what the game actually is, like you said, it's the arcade kind of game. You know what I mean? Like, I agree. 4 would definitely be a good.
Like if I had to pay. If I had to pay like $60 for just this game, I would probably been a little disappointed because it is an arcade game. But for just playing it for what I paid for, I'm actually really happy with it. It's a fun game.
Yeah, I wasted money on 2 games. But if I had to grade the game, I wouldn't even be able to give a fair assumption because I didn't get all the way through it. I give it a fucking 2 because I hate it. You know what I mean? But from what I saw, I've played each of the characters. You know what I mean? Like you have Spider-Man, you have Storm, you have X-Man, you have Gambit, you have Cyclops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I played
Wolverine.
I played a little bit of each, but I kept going towards more of Storm because I kept getting further and further and further.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I mean overall, like the game, the graphics for the Sega, I thought were pretty decent, pretty good. Very comic, it had like a comic feel to it. The Super NES version, the graphics weren't all that for me, but then again, the Sega was a little step up over Super NES, so yeah.
So which one was better?
I'm gonna go back to it though. Yeah. I'm like.
So which version you like better?
The what?
Which version you like better?
I like the Sega version better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you borrow it. Let you play it. You know what I mean?
Yep. So that's our challenge. What you rated?
I gave it a 2, but that's just because frustrated pissed the fuck off me. You know what I mean? It really did. So like, I'm not gonna give it a good rating if it got me fucking angry.
Yeah.
It pissed me off. Lucky I even gave it a rating. But I suggest everybody to go out there and go and play that game, guys. Yeah.
So you don't feel the only one.
So I'm not the only one that want to break my television.
I'm a little proud of that. Anyway.
It's a good thing that a Sega remote can't really fly too far.
Yeah. You have to stay near the console.
And they're virtually almost indestructible too, so.
They're indestructible.
Yeah, but you have to try really hard.
No, you just need a really good throw. Trust me.
The cord.
Trust
Stop
me.
it.
Trust
me.
me.
Like I know from personal experience.
I know from personal experience. Trust me. You hit it hard enough, it will crack.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our games that we got challenged on. We'll have a new challenge later on in the podcast. Now we're gonna go into our segment of the system respect. This is when we cover our system. Someone we liked last episode was NES. The first
and then the
one?
first episode we did
Sega Genesis, yes. Right?
So this time around, we chose my personal favorite. Now, what I mean by personal favorite is I categorize generations of systems. Like in this time frame, this was my favorite console before PlayStation 2. You know what I mean? Like I feel like PlayStation 2 really upped it. You know what I mean? Like so at the time we had PlayStation 1, and I never had a PlayStation 1. N64 is the console that I'm talking about right now. And to me, it is my favorite console. I have so many fond memories, and still am making memories on it, because that is one console that I still play constantly. It's sitting right next to me in my room. You know what I mean? It's my first console I owned, and I remember it very, very specifically. Like leading up to my birthday, my mother would my mom was funny. Like when she knew how to keep a secret, but hinted too much towards things without thinking that I knew. Like leading up to my birthday, not knowing that I'm going to get the console for my birthday. Okay. She was like, she saw a commercial for it, and we were sitting in the living room. She's like, "Oh, that looks so cool! I want to get that." You know what I mean? Da da da. And I was like thinking to myself, like, tell me this girl got me a N64 for my birthday. That would be so dope. So coming up to my birthday, right? It had a decent party, families over, and so you know, I got my presents, and my mom comes out with this box. So I'm thinking, like, oh my god, it's like, yo, tell me about they got me the N64, and I opened it up, and it was this big cheesy, like McDonald's race car thing. You know what I mean? Like it was like so left field, like, and she was so like made it like she was so proud that she got that for me. You know what I mean? Like, how do you like it? Do you like it? I was like, yeah, I love it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh my god, what is wrong with this woman right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like a couple minutes passed and cleaning up the wrapping paper. You know, like I got football cards, baseball cards because I was collecting back then. So I'm like still in shock of this stupid ass fucking present that I got.
Staring at the car with
I'm
resentment.
like I'm playing with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is like 98.
But you're playing with it angrily.
This is like 98, 99. You know what I mean? Like when this is happening. So like I'm playing with it. Like, oh, I really like this. You know what I mean? Trying to like be a good son. You know what I mean? Like be grateful for what I got. And then all of a sudden she pulled out the surprise gift, and it just, I opened it up and it was just amazing to see. You know what I mean? It was just because I never owned anything. I was never that kid. I was always the kid going to other people's houses to play. You know what I mean? So like this was like my first thing, and it meant the world to me, and it still does. The console that I have right here in my room is the same exact one.
That's awesome.
From back then. It is so awesome, and it's such a rare thing too, because like throughout time, you know, you lose shit, things break, and you get rid of things, and then when you get older, you rebuy them.
Yeah.
Like I'm so happy that this was my original, and since my mom passed away, like it means more to me now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's more nostalgic, but now it's very like that console is priceless to me. I would never sell that for anything. You know what I mean? So that is my story and my background, and why I am happy to be discussing the N64 today.
Yes. Mine's was actually my 64 story is not really much of a story. It was this dude.
Mine just so happened to have a story.
Yeah, mine's was I worked at the time. I was working part time in a video store, and this dude came in with an N64 with a bunch of games, and like 2 controllers, and he was selling it for like $100 for that, and I was like, okay, I'll take it, and I bought it for $100, and I got 3 controllers, I got like 5 games. The dude was a crackhead, so I can't. It is what it is.
Sounds good to me.
But also I got the Japanese converter with it, so it was like a cartridge thing that you put in, and then you could put Japanese cartridges in it. So I got that off of it, which was actually lined up being a beacon to me later on, especially when I got the game Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, which I dearly love, and that's probably one of my favorite games of N64. But other than that, yeah, that was my N64 story. Like, I bought it from a crackhead. And
hey, listen, man, that's still a story. It's not like, I went to the store and bought it. Like, no, you paid a crackhead $100.
Yeah. Actually, no, I wasn't even working there at the time. I was happened to be there renting shit, and the dude didn't want to buy it. Someone else didn't want to buy it, and I had money on me, and I was like, you know, how much you want? Like, we put it down to 100, and he was like, yeah, I just need the money. I was like, all right, so give me the fuck system.
I need it. If you don't want it, I'll suck your dick.
And I was like, I don't give a fuck. You take the money. I take the system.
Yeah, I bought an Xbox 360 from a dope head at a Grand Central. That was a great time.
Yeah. So N64 also, I do have fond memories. It was like one of the first systems to actually have 4 controller ports.
Yeah.
So it was also very closely made to play with family, and that's where, like, when we go into the games category shit, like the Mario Kart was like the beacon of family game night kind of thing. Like, my mom played Mario Kart, everyone fucking played Mario Kart, we cursed each other out.
It might have been a family thing, but I think it also broke families up.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, it was like the first console to have 4 controllers. The controller was unique looking. I'm not a big fan of the controller, but it worked. It did what it needed to do.
See, you want to know what my problem is with the controller? Is that now when we were younger, that's what we had. So it was weird at first to grip it and to understand it. But as time went, it became flawless. It became second nature.
Yeah.
Now, not playing it for years and years and years, and the advancement in the controller, because I do love the Xbox One controller and the PlayStation 4 controller.
Yeah.
I love them. You know, they're just perfect in your hand, and they just work really well. going back to that is so hard.
Yeah.
Relearning it and like slow, like say playing GoldenEye or something like that, and you
Yeah.
want to do a headshot on a soldier that's sitting there, and you don't even know he doesn't even know you're
Stiff.
there, and it's just so stiff. And the problem is also if you're not playing with the original remote and you're playing with an aftermarket remote, it's impossible to play.
Yeah.
I have 2 aftermarket remotes, and they are absolutely horrible. So I had to
Yeah.
go out and spend extra money on getting an official.
I might
one
have to do the
because-
same thing because the one that came with the N64 was not. It was an another market controller.
Yeah.
So I might have
Well,
to go.
you're better off doing that anyway. See, the aftermarket controllers is for anybody who's versing me.
Yeah, it's for the second. Play it 2, 3, and 4.
You want to play GoldenEye? All right, here you go. Here's
So
your
when I
controller.
bought the game, when I bought my 64 from the crackhead, he gave me 3 fucking Nintendo brand controllers.
Yeah.
I had black, I had red, and I had green. I don't know what happened to his gray one. So I had black, red, and green. He didn't have the original.
See what was also cool about the N64 is that the console started coming in different colors
Yeah,
and different themes. Like I thought there was like a Pokemon.
yeah. There was
a
the
Pokemon
Pokemon
console that-
Snap one.
I think there was a Simpsons one.
No, it was.
think-
So the
I-
ones
I'm
that
just-
had, they did have different colors. They had like the electric violet, the electric violet, which was like the purple console. They had a green one for Donkey Kong 64. They had a Pokemon colored one. They had a Japanese color one, which was like I think orange, which was for Pokemon as well. They did have multiple different colors, and then you was able to go to like a store and get a different casing for it as well. You could change the color of the system.
Yeah, no, I always thought that was cool, man, and like the different colors because it made it fun.
Yeah,
And you're always jealous of somebody else that had like cool looking ones, and I had the bland gray one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So the system came out in North America, September 26, 1996. I actually remember that because I remember Toys R Us having a big ass like area for N64 only,
I remember the commercials.
and then you were able to play Mario. I think it was Mario and Pilot Wings. Those are the first 2 games that came
I
out for the system.
fucking love Pilot Wings, bro. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't like Pilot Wings. I love Pilot Wings.
Most people that don't like Pilot Wings is that they didn't get Pilot Wings.
Yeah.
If you understood Pilot Wings, then you liked it. If you didn't understand it, you hated it. It was one of the 2. But those are the 2 first games that came out for the N64, and you did not get a brand new game until like a couple of months after that. It was Mario 64 or Pilot Wings, and Wave Race. Wave Race was another the beginning of the system's games. Yeah. So I remember Toys R Us near me had a huge area that had all N64, so you could try the system out, and there were so many lines to just try Mario 64. But when you got to play Mario 64, you're like, oh shit, this is crazy.
It's cool shit.
I could
ever.
go through the wall. I could flip. Mario has a voice. That's awesome.
Bro, like Mario 64 alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that game brings Mario to a whole nother level.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? And that's what it ushered in. It ushered in sort of like a 3D world of Nintendo that we've never had.
Yeah.
You
Also
know what I mean?
gave us
Because
a lot of
it was
bad.
always side to side reel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that's all you ever got, except for like Paperboy was you would go straight, you would go up the
Yeah.
screen. You know what I mean? But it was the first time where you had like a 3-dimensional world, and like
Yeah.
the games, yo, like there's a lot of great games that came out of this console.
Yeah.
Like games that changed shit. You know what I mean? Games that were like literally the games that made us. No pun intended to our
Yeah.
cast and all, but like
Yeah.
that's why this console will always is #1 in my book. You know what I mean? Like in a list, this is just I love it. So many good shit, so many good memories.
Yeah, it was a really good console. It had for especially like exclusive Nintendo games that were on it. You saw the heart and the passion into the games. The third
Yeah.
party also otherwise not so much, but you got some good games off of it. You kind of got like the shit end of the third party because the N64 what it got in graphics and the 3D models and things like that, it lacked in video replay and music and sound and things like that. So there's a lot of the third party games, like if you actually like go to like WWF Warzone and you play the N64 version compared to the PlayStation version, it's totally different, and they both were bad, but that one was like a lot worse.
In any console that you play Warzone on, it fucking sucked, bro.
But there was a different limitation, as in the N64 couldn't play back audio, like audio music, like MP3 kind of thing. So
Yeah.
the themes you got were very monotone and they were terrible. And then also it couldn't play video back. So anything that had like a live video play kind of thing, you didn't get that for the 64. So like Warzone on the PlayStation, you got a live game, the live like video from WWF kind of thing before you start the game. And then N64 they can't do that.
I feel like with the N64, what it did for wrestling games, it really, because you got to see their real progression.
Yeah.
Of how a wrestling game.
Oh, you saw the good and the bad.
Went, you know?
You saw the good and the bad.
You saw every little bit of it, man.
Yeah.
You saw like one of my first for our first cast, the games that made us. My first one was the THQ N64.
Yeah.
First wrestling game that set the page for WCW Revenge and WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy, which is probably the biggest fan favorite game wrestling wise out there.
Yeah.
Which was only exclusive on the N64.
Yeah. And I honestly will say, if we're when we go into our top 5, my number one game will probably be No Mercy. Is the fact that I have spent countless and countless and countless of hours on that game. I've played that game to death.
If you like, you know what I mean?
But yeah, that was one of them. But there was a lot of like influential games that came out of it, like Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask.
I never even played it. I never played it.
Majora's Mask and Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, Banjo Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, GoldenEye. You had Killer Instinct making a return. You had
Hell yeah, that's in my 5.
yeah, Jet Force Gemini was a great game. You had a lot of like good different quality games. Star Fox 64.
I mean, you got Quake off the PC on this. You know what I mean? Like you had Duke Nukem. You had a whole bunch of like old school that were made on the PC games on this. You know what I mean? Which I thought were really cool.
So they did a really good job in bringing the games and like that. Even though the games did take time.
I never played a Resident Evil game on it though.
It wasn't good.
Well, if you go back now, the PlayStation 1 ones weren't really that good either.
You know, but it like what you played on PS1 was better than what you played on PS4, on the N64. The N64, again, like, it lacked things you could do with it, with the voice acting and shit like that, and that kind of hurt the game. But let's go into our, I guess we'll do a top 5 if you could do top 5.
I'm gonna do a roundabout. I can't exactly do 5.
So,
but I can give like a firm, strong list of what were like my shit. You know what I mean?
All right. So I'll run mine real fast. Kind of have a clue of what I have. And No Mercy will be number one. Like No Mercy, even to this day, I still play it. I love that game.
I play it all the time as well.
It's a beautiful game. I love my number 2 was, you had to get a Japanese import of it, but it was pretty much No Mercy, but the Japanese version of No Mercy. It was called Virtual Pro Wrestling 2.
I remember you talking to me about that.
This game was fantastic and probably had a better creative character than what than No Mercy had. Like you could go full mask, you could go full costume and shit like that. You were able to customize so many things in that game, and they had a lot of moves that were missing from No Mercy in that game. So I was able to do like certain things that you cannot find in No Mercy. You had in that game, and it was just beautiful. Mario 64 was amazing. To this day, like still one of my favorite Mario games.
Still to this day, badass, bro. That whole concept of that world is just fucking awesome.
Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Legend of Zelda. Those are amazing games. GoldenEye. Even though GoldenEye, I cannot play it now.
I love GoldenEye.
I can't go back to.
So much fun.
I can't go back to play it now. I tried. I can't. I did not like the single player. I really never liked the single player of the game.
I don't get that. I'm being honest. I have no idea how you don't like. I know you appreciate the game.
Yeah.
But like I still to this day love that game, and there's so many fond memories. I played more single player than I ever did the multiplayer.
I played more multiplayer than I played single player, and then when I actually tried that into the single player,
I used to laugh at people who played as Odd Job because he would just get shot in the head the whole fucking time.
Yeah. Or shot your ankles. Banjo Kazooie, Conquer Bad Fur Day. There's a handful of games. WCW Revenge, and I'll round it off with Donkey Kong 64. I love.
I actually was never really a fan of the Donkey Kong games, man.
Yeah, I like.
Pissed me off. They definitely did.
Oh, Star Fox 64. That was the last one. I love Star Fox 64. That's probably one of my favorite flight games on there. Roast God Squadron was amazing on that system as well.
Okay, that is a very impressive list right there. And I would say that a lot of your games that you mentioned were definitely on my list. And my number one is Mario 64.
Okay.
Yeah, I just still to this day I'm wowed by it. And taking years off and going back to it, like, and just recapturing that feeling of a kid going trying to collect all the stars. I personally have never collected all 150 stars.
I have twice. I did it on the DS and I did it on the 64 game.
The number one board that pissed me off was the Haunted Mansion, where you have to launch yourself off the wall to go up into that fucking balcony area.
Yeah.
And it would piss me off because it would take me days just to fucking get up there. You know what I mean? But a lot of it was smooth. It was nice. I could never really do the flying board, trying to get all the red coins on the flyer board. I could never do that. But that's definitely number one.
I forgot to mention one more, and this is actually probably my number 3. Mario 64 would be my number. Number 4 would be Mario Kart. Mario Kart.
Okay. But so number one is Mario 64. Number 2 is hands down No Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking awesome game. A lot of hours on that. Number 3 to me is Killer Instinct, because I love the fact that they brought back Killer Instinct. And I went to this huge place. It was like Planet Hollywood out on Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they might have rented this building or something, and it was just humongous. And when that game first came out, there was a line for people to try it, because they were, like, seeing... And, like, I'm a little kid at the time, and this whole huge techie place and stuff like that. I just remembered it, and then I always, adored it. Number 4 to me would be Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest. I grew up being a humongous Ken Griffey Jr. fan, and to have his own game, and I was the Yankees, and I got him on the Yankees, and I got A-Rod before A-Rod was on the Yankees, and like I literally reconstructed my whole Yankee thing and actually won a championship with it, which I spent a lot of time and hours on that. I love that game. Mario Kart comes in right after that. That's number 5. And then now just the games that really did it for me. I actually really like Pilot Wings. As simple of a game that is, it was so nice and like peaceful at times. You know what I mean? Like just soaring in the air, or you're flying in the helicopter or the plane, whatever it is, and you shoot the Mount Rushmore with Mario on it, and you shoot him in the nose, and he turns into Wario.
Yeah.
And then there were certain ones that were like so impossible to do, like the Batman games. You know, like the stealth mode in Batman games.
Yeah.
Where you're learning all like that reminds me of that every single time. You know what I mean? Like I was like a pro at that because I put in so many hours on that game. I'm trying not to use the same ones that you did because I want people to. Because my top 5 is my top 5, but you know, like WrestleMania 2000 has to get a nod.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? WrestleMania 2000 to me was awesome. Same thing with WCW Revenge. They were the beginnings of such a good era for wrestling games. Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. I loved that game. Star Fox, definitely played a lot of hours on that. Rainbow Six, I remember being fun. What else? I know there's a couple more out there that need to get mentioned that wasn't mentioned. I loved Extreme G, as simple of a game that is. It's like just futuristic
That's
racing game.
the motorcycle game, right?
Yeah, it's so cool, bro. It really is, and it gets really fast and really like frustrating.
Damn, I forgot to mention Cruising USA.
Yeah, bro. That's the first time that you got it off of an arcade system.
Yeah, Cruising
That's
USA
the only time
was
you
fun
ever.
game.
That's the only time you ever played that game.
Cruising USA. Cruising.
GoldenEye. You know, GoldenEye is fucking awesome to me. I love it. Yeah. Damn. I'm trying to think. I think that's a good roundabout list. You know what I mean? And it's sort of a little different than yours because. Like Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey and like like sports games. I enjoyed sports games back then, and it's part of me. Yeah. So I think that's a fair thing.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And I know there's other games out there. Like I remember the South Park game being fun.
Yeah. Oh, you fucking pee in the snowball and throw it.
Yeah, and I thought that was cool.
They weren't that good of a game though. Like going back, if you go play it now, you be like, the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, I was actually gonna buy it the other day, but I decided.
It was a fun game as time because you knew what it was.
I'm sorry, this has to be in my top 5. Fucking Star Wars: Shadow of an Empire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just that whole snow X-wing fighting. That it was just awesome, bro. And now I can't even get past the first level.
Yeah.
Especially with an aftermarket remote, you can't do anything.
Yeah, like shit. Like I really think about it. I forgot Mario Kart, and Mario Kart was a key to my 64. Like, I had 4 controllers. I had friends over all the time. I had family, friends, everyone getting in Mario Kart. We used to have wars in my house for Mario Kart. So that was one of the games I really had to make sure it's shown because Mario Kart 64 was probably one of my favorite games. But yeah, N64 has a good catalog. It does have its bad games, but for the most part, there's a lot of memorable games on that system.
Well, there's a lot of just filler games. You know, like games why the hell did they even make that fucking game? You know what I mean?
But definitely, if you could get your hands on one and play some of those old games, I guarantee you, a lot of the lists that we gave you will give you a good representation of that system.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially
Mario 64 and No Mercy. Just pop those 2 things on it. Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Even Rapper to Rapper.
Well,
that was
PlayStation.
Yeah, no, they also had it on N64.
Nope. PlayStation.
I'm pretty sure. No,
I guarantee.
Saw it the other day.
Rapper the Rapper was only on PlayStation. It was a PlayStation character.
Let me look this one up because I'm pretty sure I saw something.
I 100% guarantee.
Listen, I'm not denying you, but I'm pretty sure I saw it.
I 100% guarantee Power Rapper the Rapper was never on N64.
Alright,
it's a PlayStation character. It's made by Sony.
I know it is.
It's made by Sony. Anyway, I like the N64 in that sense. The system itself, it's a very memorable system. I had a lot of time and hours in that system, especially with Zelda. Like Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, blew my mind when it came to Zelda games. It was such a fantastic game.
Bro, and it is on N64.
Parappa the Rapper.
I'm looking at it right now.
Parappa the Rapper is not on N64. The reason why is because it's a Sony product.
I'm looking at it right now.
Parappa
I could buy it for $5.
on N64.
Yes. I'm looking at it, bro. I wouldn't lie to you just to make my side look good. Trust me, I know it's a PlayStation game. I know it is. It shows
dude.
PlayStation right here.
Did you click the link?
No,
Click the link.
I clicked it.
It has no Parappa the Rapper in the fucking list.
It's a game cover art download.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I saw it on it though. I'm just saying.
No, it's not on N64. It's a Sony product game. It's Sony. They're not making N64 version of it.
Whatever.
Anyway. Oh, and Kobe Bryant had 2 basketball games on the N64.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant. Off court. Something. Fuck.
I watched something recently, and pretty much was talking about Vince Carter, and Vince Carter was the last person currently in the NBA to be on an N64 game. That's an active. That wasn't an active roster.
Didn't he retire?
He just retired this year.
Yeah.
He's the last guy on an active roster that was on an N64 game. That's kind of funny. Anyway, moving on.
I'm trying to Kobe Bryant. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get
the Kobe Bryant basketball game.
Yeah, I was looking because they got it at Game On, and I was gonna buy it.
Courtside.
It's Courtside. Yeah, Kobe Bryant Courtside.
And it was part 1 and 2. There was 2 parts to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were
fun.
fun.
I was gonna get it. But a lot of people were price gouging because he passed away, which was fucking so dumb.
So price gouge. Yeah, definitely got price gouge because I was like, it's not even his current number. It's number 8.
Yeah. That's neither here nor there, though. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. If you want some good retro gaming in that sense, get an N64. If you're gonna buy one,
if you're new to the N64, that list is the starter package.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
It's a good system, a very durable system.
They are so hard to break, and 9 times out of 10 they just need to be opened up and cleaned on the inside.
Yeah.
Those things are built to last.
Yeah.
The reset button might break, but that's about it.
Yeah. But it's a good system, nonetheless. It's a fun system to have. There's a lot of great games on it. If you do want an N64, go to a Game On. They have
check them out.
I got my N64 from there.
Hit me up. I will get it for you. I have absolutely no problem going there and doing stuff and getting it for you.
I do have a problem with seeing you, so there might be an issue with that. Anyway,
I see you all the time.
Yeah, not you in general, like the person that had to bring the 64 to. Anyway, this is the system respect. Pretty much, N64. Yes, paved the way with a lot of games.
Out of five, it's a 5.5.
That's a 5. Honestly, I'll give the system. If I gotta be really honest with the system, I'll give it a 4. The reason why I give it a 4, because the third party always had issues with the N64. They didn't play as good, and the lack of video and music gameplay kind of fucked up a lot of the games that came out that was on PlayStation and even Dreamcast that didn't go on the 64, and you got a better version of those two. That was my only gripe with the N64. Other than that, had the best wrestling games, which I personally love wrestling. We have a wrestling podcast, the Wrestling Babble. I love wrestling. So No Mercy was the key to my love for wrestling. Revenge, No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, Virtual Pro Wrestling 1 and 2. I had so many hours on those. The the changing the game with Mario 64, changing the game with Zelda Ocarina of Time, just the leaps and bounds Nintendo did with the system, I give them a lot of credit for. And I felt like, honestly, if this system could have been this, if this system could have been a disc system, I think the games would have been so much better in that state of the time
Yeah,
being.
but the thing is, I don't think the games physically would last.
No, that's
You
the
know what I mean?
thing. Like if you actually look at the games they had, if it was disc form, I think they would have been able to do a lot more than what they were able to do cartridge form. Nintendo was too comfortable, and they wanted to keep cartridge form because they had a patent on it to make it cheaper. That's the reason why they kept cartridges such a long time, until they realized they had to change it for the GameCube. So this cartridge, the reason why it's still a cartridge is because of that. It's because of cost reasons and things like that, and which is understandable. Nintendo is a safe system. They always been played it safe, no matter what they did. Even to this day, they play it
Plastic is
safe.
cheap.
Yeah.
Plastic is cheap.
Even to this day, they play it cheap, but it's understandable. But they do, when it comes to the Nintendo product games, they're the best. Period. When Nintendo makes a game, they make it the best they could build, and they'll build you one of the best games you could get. And that's
I think I'm gonna play the N64 after we're done with this cast. 'Cause
Yeah.
It got me wanting
I've been
to play
thinking
right
about
now.
it. All right, so going into the N64, we're going into our other segment called the games that paved the way. Last week's last podcast, it was, damn, I just had it in my head.
I know, I forgot it too. Like, there's literally once I started to think about it, I forgot it.
Damn, fuck, I just had it in my head too. You know what? I just listened. I should have wrote it down, and I didn't write it down, and I meant to write it down.
It's all good. You know, that's what's the best part. It's documented. We can always just go back.
Anyway,
and
the games that pays the way. We went through Mario. We went through the wrestling games on the first episode. The second episode, I think we went through. Fuck. Trying to blink.
I don't know.
I think I said Mega Man. I think Mega
Yeah,
Man
you
was
did.
mine, and I
Mega
think
Man 2.
I forgot what was yours.
Yours was Mega Man 2. Mine was, I forget. It's sad that I forget, and I apologize for that.
But anyway, we'll talk about that more, and we'll catch up on the next cast about what we picked before, because I'll make a list, and we'll have the list for the rest of the time.
Keep it updated.
Anyway, so the games that paid away this month, what do you pick?
Now, I took a lot of time thinking about this, and there's just certain games in my childhood that need a nod. Now, I don't want every single time to be, a game-changing game that revolutionized everything, because that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
This is about acknowledging the fun and the childlike-esque and just overall, like a badass
The
game.
make
And
you feel good game.
My game is Road Rash for Sega.
I respect that.
I love Road Rash so much. I've spent so many hours playing Road Rash at my mom's friend's house. And it is just one of those games. It's just fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get to hit a cop off a bike and you keep going. And with each generation of Road Rash, it gets better and better. Up to when it became PlayStation, I remember it being on PlayStation. I sort of fell off with that, but like 1, 2, and 3 for the Sega Genesis, that you cannot deny that game's excellence, because it's just so much fun. It's very simple. It's got a good little score to it, little soundtrack. You can upgrade your bikes. So the money that you make in races, aren't just for anything. So you get yourself a more souped up bike. But then the further you drive and the more you get hit and messed up, you actually got to fix your bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As the generations went on. So that is my game that I would like everybody, at some point in your life, just go and check it out. It would be worth your while.
I will say I want to go back into my childhood, and I'm gonna pick a game that meant so much to me every time I ever got to play it. To this day, I kind of want to go and drop $400 on this fucking arcade because I just want it in my house and just want the game.
I already know what it is.
And it's the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. I fucking love that game. That's one of my favorite games of all time.
The closest thing to it is Turtles in Time. You know what I mean? That's the closest thing to
and even that, like, the thing about the first game, it just reminded me so much of the cartoon and just the style of the cartoon and where they were at in the cartoon. Like, it was in the city, it was in the junkyards, it was in the garage, it was in places that a city was like that.
The Simpsons arcade game is just as good as that.
And that's
you know what I mean? Because it's the same format.
But that's what paved the way for everything else. So the Turtles one came out first. It was an extremely success, and then it came out with the Simpsons, Simpsons, X-Men, Spider-Man, all had similar arcade games down the road. But Ninja Turtles was one of the first that really had that 4-player, action-based, fast-paced game, and for it to be that unique and that powerful in that way, like, I love that game. Like, anytime I saw that in arcade,
I remember going to the arcade and fucking just wasting my money on that game all day, bro.
I remember one of my favorite moments in my gaming years was, I think I got out of school a half a day, right? And my mom gave me $10 that I could have, and to make sure I go eat pizza and things like that. So the Turtles game was in a pizzeria. I went with 3 of my older friends that live in the area and shit like that. My friend, shout out to, well, they probably listen to the cast, I'm not sure. But my friend Jason, my friend Jose, and my friend Danny. We all went to the pizzeria. We all spent $5 in quarters. And we jumped on the first Turtles game. With $5 in quarters, we were able to finish that game, and then we all split a pot. Yeah.
It would have taken me like $20.
$5 in quarters. We were able to finish that game. Each one of us having $5 in quarters. Well, the game itself was only a quarter, so like it wasn't 50 cents to start and then a quarter to continue. No, it was always a quarter. And then the pizza dude.
Why it cost me more is because I always played it by myself.
Yeah.
It's better and easier with multiple.
Yeah, when you have multiple people. So when we were a group playing, the owner said, if you beat the game, you get free pizza. I'll give you a pie for free. And when he said that and he encouraged us to fucking play it, that was it. Like, we were in for that fucking pizza. So we timed everything correctly. We fucking like mapped that game out so good that we were able to play it left and right. I always pick Raph. That's me. I always picked Raph. Raphael's my turtle. But I honestly didn't really care which turtle I picked. I knew their style, so it didn't really matter to me. But it was just a unique experience. It's a unique arcade experience. If you never played Turtles Arcade, the first Ninja Turtles arcade game, I suggest you go play it, because that's one of the best Ninja Turtle games, period. If you say Turtles in Time and Arcade is better, the Turtles in Arcade was good. The SNES version was better. The SNES version had characters that you remember and knew.
NES version, Super NES version is so much better.
Yeah, the arcade version didn't have the characters you knew. They made characters up because they couldn't do the copyright of the characters for some reason. I don't know why. But if you go to the original one, it was probably one of the best portrayed of the Ninja Turtles. It had everything it had to do with the Ninja Turtles, and in the current TV show, you had glimpse of the turtle van, you had skateboarding missions, you had things like that, and it was just a fun game. So that's going to be my game this week.
That's good. No, I like it. And you can go to Walmart for $400 and pick it up.
Buy it for me, please.
I was just going to say that. Somebody buy it for me, please.
Yes, my birthday's coming up.
I look at it every time I'm in Walmart, and I'm like, do it. I was like, I just don't want to buy it and then just have it sit there. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna build that shit. I'm gonna build that shit, and somehow, somewhere, I'm gonna be playing that all the fucking time. But I had to be.
Well, if there's a way you can hack it and add other games to it, then that would be dope. You know?
You can. I wouldn't want to fuck it up. I feel like I'm gonna fuck it up. So.
And if you buy that game, if you buy that arcade system, you have to go to GameStop.com and get yourself the stool.
Yeah, Walmart has this stool as well.
I haven't seen it at Walmart, but
They have as a package. You get the arcade and the stool for like $4.30 or something like that. Anyway,
no, that was a good call. I think Road Rash it deserves a real honorable nod. And
no,
I
I love
agree
Road
with
Rash.
your pick.
I love
Rash
Road
was
Rash.
the shit, bro.
I love Road Rash. Road Rash was really fun, and I remember honestly, I think my favorite one was Road Rash 2.
Yeah.
Road Rash
I
2.
I really wasn't biased towards any of
Yeah.
them, but Road Rash 2 was a better.
If I had to think
three.
about the one I spent the most time on, it was Road Rash 2. That was the one for Sega Genesis, and that was through
Well,
EA.
they were all for Sega.
Yeah. Well, they had them on
first three.
Did they have an SSX? Oh, I'm not sure.
Nah, I would have been at it.
I know they had one for PlayStation, and that wasn't as great.
I gotta go and get those games.
Anyway, yeah, Road Rash is a good one. I picked the Turtles arcade game, and yeah, I think we got some good picks this week. I actually am happy with those.
Yeah, no, I think overall this has been definitely a good week for the retro video.
Because Turtles kind of paved the way for all those beat 'em up arcades down the road. You got Sunset Riders, Captain Commando, you got Gauntlet, you got X-Men, you got Simpsons, you got what else? Final Fight, Streets of Rage.
Yeah,
It paved the way in that style of beat 'em ups, and I love it. And yeah, it's one of my favorite
I even
games.
think there was an Addams Family one.
I would not pass it. I would not pass it by if there was one.
I feel like there was an Addams Family one. I don't know. I don't know why, but whatever.
Yeah, so the games have paved the way. And then now here comes the challenge.
The challenge is on. I challenge you to a duel.
The challenge is our pretty much we challenge each other to a game of retrospect or any other game, whatever we feel like we challenge each other. We can play it, we can play it, doesn't really matter. It's just something that we want each other to play and see our experience, and then we review it in the beginning of the next Game of Rage podcast.
I feel like after we choose the ones that we pick for the challenge, we should find a way to put like a stamp like challenge accepted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in the background. That would be pretty cool.
Challenge.
Do you want to challenge me first, or do you,
I'll let you go first. I think I
let me
did
go
the first.
first?
I did think I did last time. I was first.
Yeah, you're an asshole, by the way.
I know.
Yeah, he's smiling. Okay, so now I wanted to. Now I've been thinking a lot down these lines. Now, like I'm not trying. I might here and there throw a curveball that just hits you in the head, but like I want you to enjoy games. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the two that are definitive that. You know, I also got one in the chamber as well. I got two solid picks and a third one if you wanted to hear the third one.
Okay.
But the first game is Doom.
Doom. Okay.
You can play it on the 32X, or you can play it on. I'm pretty sure it's on the Switch, maybe.
I have it on PlayStation because the Doom Eternal came with it.
But I also I prefer the Super NES version.
Okay.
Because it's very pixelated, and I own it if you wanted to borrow it.
Okay.
So Doom. The next one is Comic Zone.
I have finished that game. That game is a hard game. It's a good game.
Comic Zone just looked awesome, and we're like comic book guys, so it's like I felt like that would have been a fun game for you to play.
And what's your third
one? The one in the chamber was just Beavis and Butthead for Sega.
Beavis and Butthead. The thing
Which
with
I own Beavis and Butthead.
The thing with Beavis and Butthead, that's a game that I actually would like to play with you and have like a Twitch.
Okay.
With it because it's a 2-player and it's a retarded ass game to do something.
And I have it on Sega. I have it in the box.
So I think the Beavis and Butthead, I think we should save so when we could get back together and when this world stops shitting its pants, and we could Twitch that and actually have that experience on Twitch.
Okay, I respect that and I accept that. I'm down for that.
I'll take Comic Zone.
Take Comic Zone?
Yeah.
That's a good choice.
You know, I never actually like tried to finish the game. I do own it. I do have it on the collections, but I actually own the cartridge as well. So, yeah.
Which version are you gonna play? Are you gonna play?
I think I'm gonna play the Genesis version.
Okay.
But if it acts up, then I'll play the console the one I have on PS4, but because I have the game collection pack. But I'll try the original one and see how it goes.
I've actually never beat that game, so it's just I just remember it being fun and looking cool, and I just figured you would enjoy it.
It was a good game. It was tough, because you only got one life, and you fucked up. You go back to the start. But I made it. I know I made it really far in the game. I don't remember beating it. So that'll be a goal to do, is actually finish the game.
So that's good. That's the point of this.
So yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'll take Comic Zone.
Challenge accepted.
Shalom. So mine's is a themed one, and my themed one was the Disney afternoon. So there are 3 games that I have that I would like to challenge you on, and just for you to experience it more than just like having to finish it and things like that, because some of the games can be hard. So I'll give you the choice of DuckTales, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, or Darkwing Duck.
Oh man, DuckTales is hard, but it was fun. I never finished it. I played it at Game On. Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers, my cousins had it, but I don't recall ever actually playing the game. Darkwing Duck is something. Is just one of those badass shows from my youth, and I think I'm going to choose Darkwing Duck.
Okay, so I have it.
I think firmly for NES.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, boom. I'll take that. I'll try that shit.
So Darkwing Duck for NES, that'll be my challenge to you. I'll bring the cartridge on Monday so you could get your chance and actually play it. But I do own it. I own all of them, so like that was one of the ones I was like, I have the games. I know you could challenge it.
You ain't got Tailspin, bro.
I have Tailspin.
You have Tailspin?
But it was a 3, so one of them had to be eliminated. So Tailspin was eliminated. Tailspin wasn't that great, though.
Because that was part of the whole series of stuff. You know
yeah. So Tailspin I have. It's a different game. Honestly, if you want Tailspin, yeah, I'll give you the option for Tailspin as well. Tailspin was a side-scroller like airplane game.
Yeah, I remember the game.
Yeah.
That's why I mentioned it, because I played that game. I never beat it. But...
Oh, if you actually look on my YouTube channel, I have playthroughs of I think all the games actually.
Hey, everybody go and check out his YouTube page on Twitch.
Back in the day when I was actually running on YouTube and I was running games, I did the whole Disney afternoon games. I did Darkwing Duck, I did Tailspin, I did DuckTales, and I did Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
That's awesome.
So,
challenge accepted.
So Darkwing Duck is your challenge for this month. I'm
excited for that.
Comic Zone. And I will try to Twitch it this week when I play it, because I do have it on the Sega Genesis thing. But I'm going to try to play the original one first and see how the differences is.
Sounds good, bro.
All right. So we got a good challenge.
That's a good month right there, man. That's cool.
So next time, my mind was the Disney afternoon, because I think we've been talking about it a lot at work recently.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? That'll probably be my challenge. Like, I have the games. They're accessible because I have the games. So that's the reason why I gave you it. If I didn't have the games, those games go for like $60 to $70. So I would not have done that to you. Unless you buy the... There's a Disney Afternoon remaster on the PS4 and the Xbox that's like maybe $4, $5. That it gives you Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, and Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
See me, like I'm the dude that I'm gonna play it on the consoles.
No,
you know what I mean?
as in trying to find accessible games cheap. That would be the cheapest
no,
way to do it.
I feel you. I'm just saying with me though, you know, like for our listening viewers out there, if you guys were wanted that, you know, you can go do that. Me, I'm hands on. I'm old school. I want that old feel. You know what I mean? And the fact that it's on NES is fucking dope to me. So let's do it.
So yeah, Darkwing Duck. You know what? What I'll do is just to see if it's something that is possible, and if it doesn't, I'll lend you my Chip and Dale, and I'll lend you my Darkwing Duck, and I'll give you those 2 games to play. Because I could see Darkwing Duck. I honestly will say our Darkwing Duck is a hard ass game. So I'll give you two games, so you can see which one you like better, and you go with that.
I'm gonna go with Darkwing Duck.
Okay, so we're gonna keep that. So I'll bring that game to you Monday. Just remind me, because I forget shit and we're drinking.
Well, I see you 5 days in a row, 4 days in a row. So
yes, so I'll bring it to you, down so you can play. So yeah, that's it. This is the Game of Rage podcast.
Thought it was a pretty good episode there, buddy.
I think so too. Please follow us on all our social medias and all our other podcasts. We have the Not a Trekkie podcast, the Odd Shell Shock. We have the Morphing Cast and Not a Trekkie podcast, and the Game of Rage podcast, which is included. We do have a weekly podcast in It Gets Better Shref podcast and the Wrestling Babble. Please like, subscribe, and follow all those podcasts. We do our hard diligence to work on these casts. Please follow them and like them and comment and do whatever. Curse us. I don't give a fuck. As long as you're watching,
I don't care. How much sacrifice I make for this stuff, guys.
But anyway.
Please like, subscribe, and share.
He bought 2 Spider-Man and the X-Men. He's sad.
I'm so sad about that. But I have 2 of them.
Yeah.
I have it for whatever I want to feel for the day. Whatever I want to get frustrated.
You know, I think there's an NES one,
do I
too.
want to be frustrated on?
There's an NES one, I think.
I don't know. I didn't even look.
Huh? Now
I
you
didn't
need.
even look to see if there was an NES one.
Now you need to collect them all. So you get the NES one.
So all the game that pisses me off the most, I own it.
You want to stare at it and curse it out.
Just like fucking piece of shit.
I hate you, but you keep me humble.
You make my collection look good.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up. This is the Game of Rage podcast. Please follow all our social medias. I am on Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch TV, SoundCloud, YouTube. All Merc with the Mic. You can follow also our Facebook pages, the Red Cyclone Inc. and the Wrestling Bible pages. Follow Tommy.
You can follow me on Twitter at TenaciousTRC Inc.
Yes.
And then I don't really have any followers. I'm not really good at it, so like all my dating apps, nobody swipes right for me. So please come chit chat with me. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you want us to play. You know.
And
I'm not savvy in the Twitter world, so you can just come to Grand Central and bullshit with me. Let's do it.
Shout outs to our retro game collector spot. Games On.
My mecca of retro video games.
Game On.
Always a big shout out to Game On, which is a retro video game store based out on Long Island. They have two places. One is Talk One in Miller Place. You can follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Game On, and they also have a website, GameOnMP.com, where you can get a little background of a man's journey having retro video games as a child, losing the love for it, going to college, starting a career, and said, "Screw all that. Let me open up a retro video game store instead." It's very inspiring. It's something that I'm very proud to be a part of. I love them to death. They are very nice. They show love and they give back to the community. Yep. They just donated 2 personal stimulus checks to businesses in the local area that were struggling due to the pandemic. So for them to do that when they were struggling as well is just humbling, and it's what it's all about. So definitely give them a big nod and shout out.
Yep. Also, shout outs to our Cyclone brothers, Mike, Jenkins, and Jabstar Supreme, Julio. Mike, especially because he's the one that edits and makes our podcast all pretty and sounding. So definitely shout outs to them. Shout outs to Tilla Max. He always rapidly listens to our podcast and always comments and always shares and things like that. Please like, subscribe, share if you can. Help us build the community, and especially retro gaming is easy community to adjust to.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
And yeah, till next time. Peace. And
yeah, yo.
Fuck Zordon.
Yeah, fuck Zordon.
Wear a fucking mask. And wear a mask.
Yeah. Stay home.
Wash your hands.
Wash your ass while you're at it.
And wash your ass while you're at it.
Listen, you guys, just